Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. It's 7 o'clock Sunday evening. May get their notifications so they know we're ready to go and can get on. All right. Got William on with us already. William likes the cougar week, apparently. Old School's on with us. I've been to Shady Nook Junkyard in Oklahoma with Mopars. No, I've never been there. I haven't even heard of it. So that one I can't tell you anything about. Old School. Don't know anything about that one. But so that one's a new one to me. And I have not seen any of those videos either. But anyway, lots of things have been going on. Picked up some cool stuff this week. We'll see if Facebook cooperates tonight. Last week, once again, we had tons of problems with Facebook. To the point where some people just finally said we got to bail off. It's just not working because the feed was that bad. Chris is on YouTube. Lance is on YouTube. Have no comments on Facebook. There we go. Stan's on Facebook. Glenn from Minnesota is on. A few comments popping up now. I was kind of starting to get worried about Facebook already right out of the gate after the way these last couple of weeks have been as far as the feed. Facebook a long time ago. Lance seconds that as well. But like I said, hopefully the feed will work and hopefully cooperate tonight. If it doesn't, like I said, you can always jump to YouTube. And like I said, some of our guys, and Scott threw the link up for us. So again, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Scott threw the link up onto the Facebook comments. If it does start giving us fits again tonight, where you can hit the link that Scott threw up for us on Facebook. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. Dan from Defiance is on. David W. is on. Glad you guys all made it again. And Don from Nashville, lots of familiar names popping up. Still amazed that you guys come back every week to hang out. But it's fun, and I'm glad you do because, all you guys being on here is what makes this thing work. It's what makes it fun. So anyway, a couple things to catch tonight. Jill and Doug Prayer on, our good friends from Oklahoma. Glad you guys made it. Chad's on with us. 77 C10 tailgate. I don't remember what I've got left on those, Chad. You'd have to give me a shout after we get done, and I can get you on my list and check that. Old School Phil did some video today on a Morris Marina. That's something I'm not familiar with at all. Or unless maybe you meant Morris Minor. Maybe I wonder if that auto corrected on us. That might make a little more sense too. Jerry's on with us on Facebook. William from Pennsylvania. Randy's on with us. No, okay. Old School says it was a marina. So that's Morris Marina, something different to me as well. So come on out and see what you got going on there. But anyway, a couple things we wanted to catch. One thing that happened, MT Pocket Builds is on too on YouTube. Glad you guys are all making it. Actually got some new names popping up on YouTube as well. Ironhead's back. Glad you made it. The last couple weeks on YouTube, we've had a few people on who had apparently didn't get enough attention from their mommy at some point, and were being rude and trying to overtake the chat. Like we talked about in the past, I can't respond to those guys. That's what they're trying to get me to do, but I always appreciate you guys jumping on and running them off and making sure they know they're not welcome to try to mess up our chat. So always appreciate that. And like I said, if we get somebody like that on there, your guys' help is greatly appreciated to run them off. That's right, spammers. Yeah, that's what Old School says, just a bunch of spammers trying to waste everybody's time. So I appreciate your guys' help when that does happen because we have had that the last couple of weeks. We've had somebody try to do that. So I appreciate your guys' support and keeping an eye out on those guys. Last week, and I owe somebody an apology. I'm not even sure who it was because I seen it pop up and I missed it. Somebody threw up a super chat last week for me. And to be honest with you, I'd heard of super chat, but I didn't really actually understand what it was. I literally had to YouTube it after we got done to get a little better understanding of the super chat. So somebody threw one up there last week. I super apologize for not recognizing it. I thank you for your support. It popped up. I seen it at a glance. It didn't register with me because it's the first one I've ever got. I'm not a professional. Learning as we go here, but if if there's somebody that can, whoever did throw that super chat up there, greatly appreciated, and always appreciate your guys' support. It means a lot that you guys are willing to do that. Yeah, and also says you can set up a moderator, and that is true, but then it would have to be handled and dealt with. Cruz is on. Glad you made it back. He says you missed a few, but that's all right. Glad you're here. Got a fire in the fireplace and hanging out with all of us. So not an all bad plan at all there. So anyway, I really appreciate who threw the super chat up last week. I actually went back, tried to find it, couldn't find it. So I owe somebody an apology for not recognizing it last week, and definitely a huge thank you. The fact that you guys are willing to do something like that for me is amazing. So it's awesome. Cameron Burns Garage is on with us. Glad you made it tonight. He's seen our super test sign. Well, we're gonna get into that here too in just a second. Glad you noticed that, because that was the next thing we needed to talk about. Behind me, actually, it is a reproduction. It is not an original, but there's which obviously we usually don't hang that stuff up here, but there's a reason for it. A viewer from Canada actually sent this to me. Just got it late Friday, and I hope you're on with us tonight, because I truly am thankful that you did that. I've been going to send you an email. Like I said, I got it late Friday night and haven't gotten that far, but we hung it up. I actually looked it up. Also says, do I have any super test cans? No, I don't. And also says I thought about that, old school, I haven't blown your logo up, but I was like, it looks awful familiar. So that's kind of where it is. And that's why I've got it hanging up, because it was a gift from a viewer. Super excited about it. And so I actually looked it up a little bit and seen there are some super test cans out there on eBay, but they're all in Canada. And I don't have a super test can, but now I'll be looking for it. What the viewer told me in what the information he sent me is it was a smaller company that, never really took off and never got huge. Cameron Burns' Garage has some. I assume you're probably from Canada as well, I'm guessing. But so another thing to be on the lookout for. But really appreciative of that, and huge thanks to the viewer who sent that in for me. I really appreciate it. But like I said, being a Canadian company, it's not something I was familiar with. Nothing I really knew anything about. Kevin just jumped on Facebook. Glad you made it. So it's different. And there again, that's why we're hanging out. We all learn stuff every time. There's always something different to learn. This hobby is so broad, so many different people, so many different tastes, so many different companies. And that's what's great about it. So even though it's a reproduction sign, it's great that it was a gift from a viewer, and super happy to have it. And thanks for all your support, and thanks for sending it to me. And there again, I learned something from it. It was and like I said, from the information he sent me, it was a smaller Canadian company, and it was the same thing with a lot of the American companies. Cameron Burns Garage, his grandfather actually had a super test station in Ontario, so that's pretty cool. So now we know why Cameron's a fan of them. It says old school says probably a lot of cans in the Middle East and Europe too, so maybe they had a good export business. But it's kind of the same thing even in the U.S. Back in the day, anybody hit an oil well, they started an oil company, and there were for every Mobil and Sinclair and Phillips out there, there were 1,000 tiny ones that never made it. So it's just cool to learn, and obviously being Canadian, something I wasn't familiar with, and you learn more about this stuff every day. We're always learning something in this hobby, and that's what makes it great. Might make it a little expensive at times, so you think you got to buy something else for your collection, but that's okay. Anyway, what else is happening? Some interesting industry news that I did see this week that I wanted to bring to you. Something that really kind of shocked me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it. The Hero Hada Merc, probably one of the most famous customs ever created, built by the Barris brothers. Two-tone green, mint green, and dark green, chopped Merc. Kind of started the trend of the Mercs. Saw an article in Old Cars Weekly this week that car is actually for sale for the first time in 60 years. Dave from Michigan made it. Glad you made it tonight, Dave. But the Hirohata Merc has been in the same ownership, the same family. Bob Hirohata had the car built in '53, and he sold the car in the mid '50s, and it bounced around to a few people, and then a 16-year-old kid bought it in 1959, and that's his family still owns that car. So kind of amazing that after all these years and throughout because the car is legendary. I mean, even if you don't know what the Hirohata Merc is, I'm sure you've seen pictures of it in a magazine or something somewhere on the Hirohata Merc. I mean, it's influenced tons of customizers. It's been in tons of magazines. It's been in movies. Pretty neat deal. Jim McNeil he had the car forever, had it in storage after he quit driving it. And the car sat until the late 80s when they had it pulled out. And how they don't have a price on it. I haven't seen the ad. I read this, like I said, I read this in Old Cars Weekly. But it just a legendary piece. And I'm sure if you Google it, you will know exactly which car I'm talking about. Legendary car. Like I said, like I said, the article says, I'm sure definitely going to be 6, if not 7 figures for a car that is that well known. Obviously built by the Barrises, started a trend, been copied. It's just an icon. It's an icon in the custom world. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. It said the family is trying to avoid going to auction with the car. So it'll be interesting to see, when that car changes hands and where it ends up at, if it's going to end up in a private collection, if it's going to end up in a museum, where people are going to be able to see it. A few comments. Another Kevin just jumped on with us on Facebook. It is in the new Old Cars Weekly #1. I just got it the other day, and I was surprised to see that. So Kevin says Facebook is once again having issues, and I kind of wondered that because I've seen the numbers kind of go, bouncing all over the place. So apparently we've got issues on the Facebook feed right now as well. 70 Abel says, so you've got a 76 Super Cab. I do have one Super Cab that he's got a 76 Crew Cab. So I've got a 76 Super Cab here, and I've got my 78 Super Cab that I need to get to work on one of these days. But so anyway, the Hirohata Merc, it's going to be real interesting to see how this deal shakes out. Something like that is that well known and that iconic. Seeing where it's going to end up, who's going to end up with it, and if it's going to be in public, it's going to be pretty neat to see how that shakes out. So, thought that was definitely an article worth mentioning. And like I said, if you don't know what the Hirohata Merc is, definitely Google it, because I am sure once you see the pictures, you will know exactly what we're talking about, and then you'll understand why I was so excited about it and why it was worth talking about, because of the history of that car. Some more industry news that is going to possibly kind of shake some things up. And I think it could affect all of us to a certain aspect. And of course, it's happening in California because the California Air Resources Board is involved. And now they're going after chrome plating shops. They basically want to ban hexavalent chromium, which is what are as a very deep shine that we're used to seeing on show cars. And I know there's bad stuff in it, but they have put tons of processes in place to make sure that doesn't pollute the environment. And apparently that's not enough for California. Shockingly, that they're having issues with that. Now, #1 says Peterson will own the Hirohata, and that's possible as well. I mean, it's such an iconic car, and that may be the place for it. But who knows? And we don't know what they want for the car either. Because I'm sure it's going to be extremely pricey, and there's got to be, if the museum's going to buy it, it's got to justify it somehow or another. So Um, yeah, Old School says if they're not going to let them chrome, why don't they just ban smoking? Yeah. Well, and what they're trying to make them do, and if you wanted to read the entire thing, but they did talk to a shop owner in this article, and MT Pocket Bill just says ban California. Yeah, I'm not a big, huge fan of a lot of the stuff they try to do out there. I don't live there, so it doesn't affect me a lot, but it still can be kind of difficult. And that's where I'm worried about this Chrome situation. When I was reading through, I found out how many Chrome shops are in California. But they were talking with a shop owner in Sacramento, and according to what they're trying to do, it's not a total ban on chroming. They want to replace hexavalent chromium with trivalent chromium. Now, this is what they're saying they want to do, but they're telling everybody that's what they want to do, but they actually haven't drafted any paperwork to tell everybody what they expect. So, obviously, trivalent. What's the difference? So, Old School says it helps California just separate. Same with New York City. So, the difference between the two, from a public health standpoint, is hexavalent chromium is a CARB-identified toxic air contaminant in 1986 from a carcinogen, because there's no safe threshold of exposure level. And and they actually use suppression products to reduce the amount of chromium gas emitted in the process. But and there's stuff in them that has been blamed for health problems, there's no doubt. But that's why they put all these processes in place to keep it in check and not let it get out of control. So trivalent chromium is not considered a carcinogen and is less toxic. And the other thing about it is it's a relatively new process. The trivalent's only been around since 2017. They say it has similar operating costs, but obviously these shops would have to retool to use it. So California is saying it's going to be cleaner, of course, better for the environment. However, the process has only been around for 4 years. Nobody's extremely familiar with it. Hannah's on with us. Old School breathing. Yeah, breathing in rubber particles off the road isn't healthy either, I reckon. Number one says Mexican chrome seems to be the best result, but the most expensive. David W. says he's got some buffering on YouTube as well. I don't know if we've got issues with YouTube tonight as well. I had a feed issue notice pop up on mine, but that was several minutes ago, and it seems to have cleared itself up on there. And I'm not getting any comments on Facebook. We may still be having some issues with in the sun. Good point. Now, so this is why they're trying to push a trivalent. Sounds all fine and dandy, right? Well, obviously there is an issue because it is not the exact same chrome. When they talked to the shop owner, they said it's not the same color. Hexavalent has that clear blue sheen, which, and if all of us being around cars, if you look into a nice deep show chrome bumper or grill, you can kind of see a blue tint to it. Trivalent is more grayish and smoky. So it's going to look different. It's going to have a different appearance, and you darn sure couldn't mix it. I mean, you'd have to replate everything if you had part of it done. The Old School says he's got some YouTube buffering. I've got two computers on, but they are both my modem. So I've got two PCs up, and I've got a cable off of both PCs going into my modem. So that's where, so I'm trying to do what I can on mine. In fact, I even double checked my connections tonight after all the issues that we had with Facebook last week. So Joe from Illinois is on with us. Glad you made it, Joe. So hopefully that will clear out. How many phones do I have going? I've got two phones on my desk too. They're both silenced. One thing is I am getting new internet. I do know that. Maybe that will help. I should be on fiber here within the next month, I'm hoping. So once I get on fiber, if there is a feed issue on my end, I'm going to be a lot faster on my end once I go to fiber here very shortly. They were by a couple weeks ago, and they said, I'm hoping anytime they run my fiber, and if there's a feed issue on my end, that should definitely take care of anything I've got going on from here. Old School says he's on it already, and it's great. So looking forward to that and can't wait to get it. I've been waiting for a long time. Maybe it's because so many people are on live. I doubt it's that. We're actually down a little bit tonight. We've got a decent crowd on YouTube. Facebook's way down. But I think that's because we had so many issues last week, and we're apparently having issues again tonight with Facebook. So, but anyway, that's what the thing about the Chrome situation in California. Now, here's the other thing is if they ban that, what's that going to do to everything else? CARB estimates, of course, these the people trying a small facility, 60 to 100,000 to switch over, and a larger facility is going to take 250 to 300,000 to change over to the new type of Chrome. And guess what? Who's going to pay for that? Anybody that gets any work done. And then the only other option is they have to pack everything up and move completely out of state. So that's another big deal. I got a couple more comments that YouTube is buffering as well. So hopefully that does clear up. And like I said, maybe I'll be on when I get on fiber. I know my feed will be great after I get on fiber. So hopefully that'll help us as well there. But, it says that, the rule change could affect 100,000 jobs in California. And here's the other thing that kind of, Eric likes your sign too. We talked about that a little earlier in the chat. We went over that. So be sure to, after we get done, you can go catch the first part of the chat where we went over the sign and some of the history about that company and where it came from too. Here's where I think it could affect everybody. According to CARB, there's 130 chrome platers in California. Now, if they take out a lot of those chrome platers, what's that going to do to all the rest of the chrome platers? They're going to get swamped. They're not going to be able to keep up the business. Prices are going to go through the roof. It's going to be super expensive to get anything done. I think that's how it could affect the hobby as a whole. Obviously, there's not near as many chrome platers out there than what there used to be. It used to be pretty common, but because of so many rules and regulations, it has thinned out a lot. And they take another 100 of them out, it's going to change things dramatically for people trying to restore cars. And when it got into a little bit of the regulations, of course, that they weren't even regulated until the 80s when CARB came out with their first standards, and they and fume suppression and things like that. But to keep all that under control, and it's worked well according to what I read in the article. But the other thing is, and like this shop owner stated, the footprint's minuscule because anybody grinding on a piece of metal is doing the same thing as far as releasing those toxins into the air. But it says CARB doesn't consider those. It also said that the 130 platers in the state emit about 4 pounds of hexavalent chromium a year, and the state currently allows 10 pounds. So it's just none of it seems to make any sense. Lots of comments popping up. I better get to some of these before we get rolling here. Number one says the 58 Etzel box keeps reminding me I need to call for parts. I think these are scrolling pretty quick. I think I missed a couple of them. I apologize for that. Isn't plastic more harmful than chrome? I do know California Air Resource Board. So like Randy says, I guess those affected workers can relocate. Number one, is Texas a more chrome-friendly state? I know some platers in Texas. There's some of them that I sell cores to. Seems to be rolling okay there, but let's see. Yeah, like what about using plastic bags, storing stuff in plastic bags? I mean, all that type of stuff is minuscule, but there again, I think it's one of those deals that, California wants to go after. And when we get down to the end of this article, which we're about there's another reason I think that. Randy says Advanced Plating in Tennessee does a great job. I've not dealt with them before. Let's see. And that's right. Old school. The trains are always grinding metal. Every time they go down the track, they're grinding metal. Mick says, what about the new spray chrome? That I don't know anything about it. I know any of the spray chrome I've ever seen doesn't look like chrome. It looks like bright spray paint. So Lance says they have to deal with hex chrome and welding out at work. So, I mean, so you're probably a little bit familiar with some of that too. I did miss some comments. I apologize for that. It was scrolling pretty quick there. But this is what kind of, there again, we're talking about California, but they're telling these shops they're going to have to do all this stuff, but no draft regulations have been issued. CARB has proposed a rough timeline for phasing out hexavalent chrome, starting with a December 31st, 2021 ban on all new hexavalent plating facilities. Decorative platers would have to switch to trivalent chrome by January 1, 2023. Platers specializing in hexavalent chrome for like industrial applications have to switch by January of 2027. So they're telling anybody that doing any of this decorative stuff that basically January 1 of 2023, at the end of 2022, you would have to switch. So, but that being said, they have no regulations for it yet. And this is what made it even less sense. A CARB representative said the agency does not expect to have a draft regulations ready before June of 22. So they're telling them they've got a year to do it, but they're not even going to have regulations until they think maybe 6 months before they're supposed to switch. So, like I said, we're talking about California. Sense. So that, like I said, it just amazed me, but that's what I think that's what I'm worried about as far as chrome shops and as far as people trying to restore cars. You take 100 chrome platers out of the game and it's going to drastically affect things for the rest of these shops. Yeah, they're going to get busier, but they may get so busy that you can't get things done. Prices are going to go through the roof. So it's kind of bonkers as to what the potential may or may not be there. So, yeah. Number one says, get myself a new big gulp cup. Yeah, I do need to get myself a new big cup, but this one hasn't cracked yet. I think it's about ready to go, but it hasn't yet. So, but anyway, thought that was some interesting industry news. The Hero Hot Merc being up for sale is huge news. Chrome plating situation could affect a lot of us. Rico says we are still freezing up on. Like I said, I don't know what we can do about that, but there's hopefully it clears itself up. The numbers have still been bouncing all over the place on Facebook, so I know we're not staying good and solid and consistent because we've got a fraction of the viewers that we typically have on there. So. But we got a pretty good crowd still hanging out on YouTube, so glad you guys made it tonight and are hanging it through the freezes on YouTube. Like I said, I should have fiber in here. I'm hoping within 30 days, if not sooner. So once I know I'm on fiber, then if there's anything beyond that, I'm sure it's going to have to be on somewhere in the system's end. So let's see, a couple things popping up, and I think I missed some other ones that were scrolling there pretty quick too. Cameron noses, I assume for like a little bucket type race car, but I don't have anything like that at all. But I assume that's what we're looking for on that. But anyway, so there's the industry news. Some interesting stuff we're talking about. Time to do a magazine and get into some trivia. Talk about some new inventory, and keep on moving. The magazine for this week, Motor Trend, June of 1965. And that's true. Number one says it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But that's true. There are probably a lot of people that are out at dinner, things like that. So that's always a possibility as well. So great idea. That's something else to think about too. So, but like I said, make sure you call your mom if you haven't done it yet today. So, but anyway, the June of 1965 Motor Trend So we'll get into that. What amazed me about the cover story on this is how little this has changed in 50 some years. So we'll talk about that as well. But June of 1965, motor trend. So let's get into it. Once again, tons of cool stuff in here. And, you know, literally had to start picking and choosing once I got into this stuff. Because there's so much stuff in here. Let me find my spot here where we were at. We'll start off with the spotlight on Detroit, which is always great. It's always awesome to look back with 20/20 hindsight and see what really happened after we read the news of the day. One thing that was we got to remember, this is June of 1965, so we've got to keep the date of these magazines in perspective when we look at these articles. So when we look at the spotlight on Detroit, I thought this was pretty good in 65. Rumors persist of a Mustang-like car from GM in 1967. Word is that it be built and sold by either Chevrolet or Pontiac, with rumors seeming to favor Pontiac. There's no question that the sales success of Ford's Mustang has made a deep impression throughout the industry, and there are bound to be copiers soon. So, obviously, we do know that turned into the F-body platform now, you know, in this day, and, you know, after we know what happened. But shortly below that, it does say Pontiac division is expected to produce GM's first true response to the Mustang with a new sporty small car that'll probably make. I found that odd that they used the Tempest name, since the Tempest was in production on the A-body platform already at that point. It will reportedly have Pontiac's long-awaited overhead cam 6 engine. The body is said to look like a Jaguar XKE more than anything else. Well, we know today it was the Firebird, not the Tempest, and I don't think it looks anything like an XKE. So let's see what else we got going on. Number one's excited for the ads. Jason's late, but he made it. Hey, that's okay. You made it here. Like Lance said, stainless steel also has lots of issues when you get into some of that stuff when you're grinding on it and things like that too. So that's another good point. Something else that was in the news in 1965, a bill pending in the Senate would establish government standards on certain safety features of American cars. The requirements would include improved seatbelt anchor. They're thinking about requiring outside rear view mirrors. In today's world, that's kind of odd to even think about it. But that was part of the regulation. Safety door latches and hinges, safety glass, impact absorbing steering column, dual braking system, improved seat anchorage, padded dash and visors, four-way flashers, safety steel rims, backup lights, wide sweep windshield wipers, standard automatic shift quadrant, recessed dash and instruments, glare reduction surfaces, smog control on exhaust, and standard bumper heights. Now we know today that most of that stuff has all come into play and is pretty commonplace in today's world. Yeah, like Cameron said, they were way off on what they were thinking on the Firebird, that's for sure. Old school brings up a good point. Most people don't seem like most people use mirrors anyway, so good point. Another good thing to bring up. Some other Detroit news in June of 1960. If Chrysler detunes the Hemi. Right now, Ford officials aren't talking. In fact, they're quick to point out that the overhead cam 427 is strictly a competition engine and will be used as such this year. But it's significant that Ford engineers have designed it so it could be readily volume produced if necessary at a reasonable cost. Time will tell on that. Number one says, if you squint with your eyes closed in the dark, maybe you can see the XKE and the Firebird. That would probably be about the only way that I can think of how you could do it. So, but then, and then of course, the next blurb in Detroit news right after the one about the Ford 427 motor, Dodge and Plymouth are said to be considering street versions of the 426 Hemi in 1966. This engine would be detuned with a lower compression ratio, milder hydraulic cam, and water heated intake manifold for one 4-barrel carb. It'd be more packaged with heavy-duty suspension, disc brakes, special instrument panel, sports interior, and special body trim, and those cars would run close to $4,000. Obviously, we know today that did happen. They did introduce a street version of the Hemi, and as we all know, not only were they huge performers, they've become some of the most sought-after cars out there in our world. So it was pretty interesting to see how that was, how some of that came true and how far off they were on some of it. One other interesting tidbit in the spotlight on Detroit news before we get into a few articles. And this was kind of there again, looking at this 55 years later and seeing what's happening. I found this very interesting. Statistics show V8 engines going into 73% of early 1965 model production. 75% for the full model run. This is by far the highest V8 installation rate of all time. And now in today's world, we're almost going backwards. The V8 engine became the standard in everything. And obviously with turbocharging and computer controls, they're getting power out of V6s and even some 4-cylinders that were comparable to a lot of the basic V8s back in the day. So at that time, the numbers were going up and up and up and up and up to go all, to mostly V8. And now we're kind of backing back off of some of that to a certain extent. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit of information as well. Next thing we're going to get into is the cover article on used cars. Now, what amazed me the most about the article on used cars was how much is really the same. It literally has not changed in the last 55 years. And you think about, it's all completely different. It really isn't. When I look at this article, it was all the same stuff you worry about today and the same stuff you deal with today. The first part of it, how old a car should you buy, was all about depreciation. This entire chart over here is about depreciation. Buy a car that's a year or two old, how much you're going to lose on it the first year. Depreciation still a huge factor in the car market. So there again, still something that is very viable today. The next part of the article, the warranty war. Obviously, buying used cars in today's world, there's service contracts. As we all know, people drive you nuts trying to sell you an extended warranty. Well, it was still part of the thing even back then. And it talked a little bit about plans. We've all seen the OK used car sign that GM had for years. It talks about the OK warranty. AMC had one. Ford had one. It even lists one for international in here. It has a whole chart of these warranty plans from these different manufacturers. Now, these were not long-term warranties. These were basically certified pre-owned, is what we would know today as a certified pre-owned situation, where they would give you a discount on parts and labor for up to 30 days or so much after 30 days or so much for the first year of ownership. But they're, again, still a part of the industry at that point, just like it is today. Cameron still says no replacement for displacement. Yeah, and there's still some truth to that too. So we've talked about depreciation. We've talked about warranties on used cars. What we deal with today. Next part of the article is called Look Before You Leap. And this is Motor Trend, and they talked a lot about newer type stuff. This entire article was about what to watch for in a used car. For people who weren't familiar with vehicles, gave them tips of what to look for, what to watch for, things like that. Even to the point where it gave them a checklist of things to watch for when going used car shopping. Now, another part of the article, once again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Financing. They had an article on financing, talking about different interest rates, talking about lengths of your loan. The exact same thing that they deal with today, to the extent now where the dealerships have a financing. So we had financing as well. And then another part of the article, once again, for your used cars, accessories, selling accessories to go on the used cars. Only their accessories were a lot different than what we think of today. Obviously, it's a huge deal in the pickup market with grill guards, step bars, things like that. The accessories they were trying to sell, and they're, again, aftermarket air conditioners, hang on, under the dash air, because back then not a lot of stuff had air conditioning. It was a pretty big deal. Engine accessories, valve covers, all kinds of different stuff to dress up performance. It has some performance stuff, adding intake manifolds, things like that, all as accessory up. The more things change, the more they stay the same. An article about used cars in 1965 covers depreciation, extended warranties, what to watch for, financing, and accessories. All sounds pretty similar to what we see today when you go to buy a car. So that was kind of interesting that I flipped the page to another part of the article, and it was like a carbon copy of what you see today. How much is the AC unit? It does not say how much it is. It's just these are just suggestions. It didn't have retail pricing for any of these because it was kind of a generic article. But it is a good question. It would be kind of interesting to see what that would cost. Bert, I've got a few things happening on Facebook finally. Tim agrees that Advanced Plating did a great job for him on some stuff. That's all I can say about extended or car shield warranties is ask the dealer or the mechanic before you buy into any and see what they are willing to accept or what they think of them. Yeah, and that's another good point, Burl. If you're going to get into an extended warranty, make sure you get a reputable one that is going to work. And Burl says we've still got feed issues on Facebook, so you can jump over to YouTube if you want, or we can definitely catch you next week. I don't know what the feed issue is on Facebook, but so far I think YouTube seems to be hanging in there, so we'll keep rolling with that. But anyway, let's check out some vehicles that were new for 1965. Scott says, how is that worse than... Oh, I was talking to number one about some of the comments that number one made on that one. That kind of threw me off for a second there, Scott. New vehicles for 1965, the Caprice 396. Obviously, the Mark IV big block was introduced in 1965, replaced the 409. There were actually some very early production 65 full-size Chevys that had 409s in them. But this article, pretty cool, on the big block 65 Caprice. And like I said, this was literally brand new for that day and time. You can see the car down here in the road test, four-door hardtop with a big block in it. They're cool cars, neat cars, and like I said, you can equip them pretty much however you want. And when we look at the other pictures of this car, like I said, it was a four-door hardtop, column shifted, bench seat, kind of definitely a luxury car. It just had a big block in it. Once again, like a lot of these Motor Trends, they are good about giving us some specs. This was a 325, 3.25 horse, 396 with a 3-speed automatic. 60 was 8.9 seconds. Standing quarter mile was 16.7 seconds. So it was definitely not a rocket ship, but it did for its day. That wasn't bad. And there again, that was a brand new engine. Nobody really knew what to do with it yet. June of 65, those things had not. I mean, you're talking that the big block had been on the market for months, and that was about it, maybe weeks. So not a lot of information about it, but there again, cool to look back at these cars when you've got 20/20 hindsight and see what was happening in the day and what was going on with them. Cameron Burns says that's a gentleman's cruiser. Yes, and it was. It definitely was. That a big old car loaded with options, four-door hardtop in a Caprice and a big block. The next article that we're going to check out real quick, and once again, if you remember back to what we just used, that there were rumors that Chrysler was going to release the Hemi for street use. Well, and then we get to another article a little bit later in the magazine as I'm going through it. It's the Coronet 426. So I had to take a second and look at the picture because obviously it's not a 426 Hemi. It's a 426 Wedge because the street Hemi was just a rumor at that point. But once again, automatically you think in today's world, oh, Mopar with a 426 must be a Hemi car. Well, this is an old Wedge car. And had some cool action shots, some technical stuff on it during the road tests. So we've also got some specs on it. One really great interior shot. It's a smaller picture, but I definitely want to show it to you guys because it's so cool. Shows the 4-speed and everything after really cool piece. But we've got some specifications. Once again, like I said, Motor Trend's typically pretty good about giving us that. 426 V8 performance package with heavy-duty suspension, 4-speed transmission, police brakes. That's what they call them, police brakes. Sure grip differential, radio, heater, tinted glass, and a tachometer. Price as tested, $35,9840. 0 to 67.7 seconds. Standing quarter mile, 15.7. So a full second quicker than the Caprice, but obviously a smaller car with a 4-speed. So, number one, didn't the Mopar Hemi come for World War II engines, airplane engines? No, the Hemi came out in 51, was the first production one. I've never heard of a World War II airplane Hemi in it. Obviously a lot of them used Allison V12s, and then of course the Rolls-Royce or Packard Merlins. A lot of World War II fighters and bombers still use radial engines as well. So I don't know of any story where that it came from World War II airplane engines. Now a lot of the development and technology that led to the Hemi probably did, but I don't think that was used in any of those planes. But on to the next article, which was definitely different. It definitely caught my eye. It's a test that Mercury was doing at the time. Mercury introduces a different approach to steering. New twist in driving. Literally, new twist in driving. We're going to take a look at the steering here. Here's your steering. Literally would turn, which actually worked off of chains to run the steering column, which was definitely different and definitely unique. From what it said in the article, is it was a better visibility. You didn't have it in your line of sight. You could see all the gauges a lot easier. Things like that was their theory behind it. Obviously, never took off. Obviously, never caught on, and I honestly don't see how it really could. It's would be such a different deal. After everybody been using a steering wheel forever and was used to it, to try to turn one of those knobs one way or the other to steer the car would probably not work out very well. So let's see, what else do we have? One more thing, and this is kind of an ad, kind of an article. So we'll roll into this, and then we'll get into ads, and then there's actually classifieds as well in this issue of Motor Trends. So let's see. I think I missed some comments once again. Facebook or YouTube's been staying pretty steady, so I'm trying to stay caught up with some of them, and I'm missing some, and I'm catching some. Facebook, we still must be having issues over there as well. So twist of the wrist to steer. No, number one says he saw a test car where they were using a system like that, and they had a wreck and it broke the wrists and the hands of the driver. So I could see that too. But anyway, this one we're going to get into. This is kind of an ad, kind of an article. So we'll start with it, then we'll get into the ads. This is on the GTO was putting on at the time when the song, when the song came out. The 45 was huge. You had to count how many times they said it in the song. and you could send it in to register. So there was actually kind of a small blurb of an article about that, obviously touting the GTO and also promoting the contest that Hurst was putting on. And count how many Tigers did you count? There's a new contest sponsored by George Hurst of Hurst Performance Products, in which you can win a very special Pontiac GTO hardtop equipped with a gold-plated Hurst shifter, a set of gold anodized Hurst forged aluminum wheels, a tri-power 389 V8, and painted a special Hurst shade of gold. It also boasts a beautiful tigerized custom interior. Colpick's new recording GTO Tiger by the swinging musical group that calls itself the Tiger sparked the contest, along with a wild new cool contest. That was a pretty big deal in the day. I'm pretty sure that car still exists. I think I've seen it in some magazine articles and stuff over the years. But they're, again, pretty big deal to be giving one of those away. And it said they were also giving away 99 other prizes besides the car. So there were 100 prizes, including 2 sets of Hurst wheels, 2 Hurst 4-speed shifters, 2 Hurst 3-speed shifters, 3 auto stereo units with 15 extra tapes, 30 record award packets, so magazine subscriptions, a whole assortment of prizes, and a big contest. So Cameron Burr says it'd be like driving with 2 suicide knobs. That's about right, except I'm used to suicide knob. You just grab it and crank. Trying to do this would not work out too well, I don't think. So, but anyway, let's get into some ads, get into the raffle, into trivia and new inventory. Inside the front cover, a lot of us have heard of the Magnum 500 style wheels. Well, there was actually an ad for the Magnum 500 wheel on the inside cover of this June of '65 Motor Trend. So you could actually order Magnum 500 wheels for as low as $79.95 for a set of 4. Once again, we talked about the big block Chevy, brand new engine. So they had an article touting the 396 turbojet. Obviously, you see the corner of a 55 Chevy and the trunklet or the back part of a 65 Impala convertible to promote the big block of that year, since it was just coming out. Pretty cool Mustang ad. Give your Mustang more style and muscle with these bolt-on items for Ford. A performance ad to order the gauge cluster, dual things like that to pep your Mustang up. So not necessarily a car ad, but trying to sell the performance parts and the performance version or performance end of your Mustang. Obviously, with the big contest going on in the GTO Tiger world, Cameron Burns $79.99 for a set. When you're making $20 a week, that's a lot of money. So William says Meekum just auctioned off that GTO. Okay, so wasn't familiar with that. Like I said, I know I've seen it around, so I was pretty sure it still existed. But I think you're right. I think that did go through one of their auctions in one of their collections. But big black and white. Obviously, we've talked a lot about when they were able to use color, but big 2-page black and white ad on the 65 GTO there, talking about the contest as well as the car. Another wheel ad, another wheel that you hear a lot about, but very, very seldom see. Raider wheels. A big wheel company back in the day, but didn't stick around forever. Very seldom seen wheels. Pretty cool wheels. So I thought that ad really stood out. Once again, black and white. Not a lot of color in these ads, but they still got their point across. Flip back a few more pages to a Champion spark plug ad, and what makes this Champion spark plug ad great was the action shots of Don Garlits in the ad. So obviously the Champion spark plug piece of it wasn't that cool, but the action shots of Garlits' dragster was pretty awesome. But there again, all you had was black and white. You didn't have a lot of ways to grab somebody's attention. But putting Garlits' dragster in there doing burnouts, good way to do it. At least for when you're trying to hit the market that guys like us are involved with. flip back a few more pages, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it didn't give us the doesn't give us any pricing here either. 65 F100's got to bail off. I'm glad you made it. For a while tonight, number one says Raider was big in the Japanese and European Fiats and VWs. Okay, didn't know that either. I know we figured we'd get Scott's attention with the Mustang stuff. So, James, do you know what happened to Rat Rod Bob? Not sure where you're going with that one on that comment, James. So, but once again, back to some aftermarket AC, looking for cool comfort and top performance. You know, they're again touting the aftermarket. Ours did not have factory air conditioning at that time. However, this article doesn't give us pricing either, so still kind of up in the air. Maybe that's something that I can check into for next week and maybe get into that a little bit more. Couple more things here real quick. One thing that really I thought was cool, because I remember my dad had one of these, but the Proto Tools straight tip screwdriver for your keychain, 50 cents. Carry one with me. It's not a Proto brand, but I still carry one of those with me. Just you never know when you're going to need it. But I thought that was really cool the way that stood out. Of course, Krager SS flippers, all kinds of cool stuff in these magazines. But the last ad we've got for tonight is the back cover, talking about, and this is a Plymouth ad, but it is actually a color ad. They did use some color on this one finally. Since it was on the outside back cover. Good. There again, color was expensive back in the day, and it was not used a lot. Let's check out a few classified ads. I always love looking at the classified. Jason says he's got one on his keychain right now, so I'm apparently not the only one that keeps one of those little straight tip screwdriver keys on my keychain. The classified ads I always love to read because we're talking about, in the mid 60s as to what was available in the market and what it covered. Number one says, that's what I'm talking about. Screwdrivers. Any mini bike ads? Well, the inside back cover actually is the Honda Sport 65. So that's kind of not a full size motorcycle, but not really a mini bike either. But that I did see that one in there. But the classified ads, as always, are great. Back and look at what people wanted for this stuff. The first one that stood out, 1940 Buick Limited 4-door convertible with side mounts restored to original, perfect condition, $8,000 invested, make offer. 56 Corvette with a hard top, original showroom condition, auto show winner, all performance options plus many extras, driven summers, $5,000 invested, asking $2,500 and can deliver. So, be nice to find a few of those today. 48 Chrysler Town and Country convertible, which was the Woody convertible, the true Woody convertible. Original, solid, clean, low mileage, $1,000 or best offer. Another Buick, 1940 Buick Roadmaster convertible sedan in storage until 1960. Extensive mechanical work done. Original, perfect condition. Firm at $2,200. So don't try to talk them down. What else we want to look at? 48 Lincoln V12 Coupe. Easy restoration. Original except interior. Body and chrome sound. Driven regularly. Owner going overseas, must sell, asking $950. Number one says he'll take as many 56 Corvettes as we can get for that. And I'm sure most of us would. Here was an interesting one, a little outside of our wheelhouse. A 1938 Bentley with an H.J. Mulliner high vision sports saloon with sunshine roof. So apparently had a sunroof in it. Excellent condition throughout. $4,500 delivered for a 38 Bentley. I don't know what that car's worth today, but I'm sure it's a lot more than $4,500. A couple more real quick, and then we'll move on. 38 Ford V8 Coupe. Good runs good, $350 for a 38 Ford Coupe. And since we've been talking about some Cords on here, there was a swap ad that I found very interesting. 37 Cord will trade my very nice appearing and driving Cord sedan for a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing. I think about any of us would do that deal. Now, I don't know what the Gullwings were bringing in the mid-'60s, but I do know if the Cord, it just says is a sedan, so you can buy a Cord sedan for $50,000 or $60,000 today, and 300 SL Gullwings I think is over $1 million. So, kind of wonder if that guy got that deal done at some point or not. So, but there again, it's fun to look back at what was happening in our hobby back 55 years ago. So that takes care of the motor trend for June of 1965. Let's get into some trivia. Now, anybody that read the oil can tonight? Still got plenty of oil cans. Still got a bunch of them that Mike Shook brought us from our auto artistry. We'll be giving another one of those away next week. But what are we going to give away tonight? We're going to give away something different tonight. And the reason I want to give it away is I just got them. And the question's a little trickier this week, too. Here's what we're going to send the winner. You get the very first Nobody t-shirt. Yeah, I finally had some t-shirts made. The front just says Nobody. And we've got a logo on the back that I think came out great. Scott Haynes, B. Scott Studios out of El Dorado, Kansas, did this for me. I think he did an amazing job. He does a lot of shirts for National Street Rod Association, and he's done them forever. Probably one of the premier hot rod and car artists in the country. Really, really pleased. And he did all the shirts. I've got them available too. I did order a couple cases of them. Anybody that does want one, they're going to be 22 a piece shipped up through extra large, and then double and triple X are going to be 24 shipped. So I do have them available if anybody wants one, but we're going to give one. We're going to give the first one away tonight. So, but it's a little bit tougher question. You had to have been paying attention to the video, and it's even one you can't Google, because if you Google it, it's slightly different than what the video said, and there are a couple of different answers if you Google it. So for the first t-shirt for the winner tonight, the very first Nobody shirt with our logo and everything on it. I'm glad you guys like it. A lot of comments popping up that they do like the logo and think it came out good. And like I said, I'm one of the best guys in the country doing it. But tonight's question, the other loved, and I love shooting it, and I love the content in it, with Doug Prey at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory, where we actually got to see a cord shift. Now, so whoever says, why is that a big deal? Well, in the late 30s, with cord being front wheel drive, almost every car in that era still had a stick coming up through the middle of the floor to shift it. Couldn't do that with a cord because the transmission was under the radiator, not under the floor pan. So we shot a video and watched it shift. And then we shot a video, or then we continued the video where Doug actually showed us how they shifted, because he had some reman units there, so we could look at where the electrical pack was, where the vacuum cylinders were, or the vacuum canisters, and how it worked. Then we went over and looked at a restored engine and transmission, a restored supercharged cord engine and transmission. And I'm glad everybody likes the shirts. Like I said, anybody that wants one, if you don't win tonight, you can always PayPal me and I'll get them sent out. Posts. Just make sure you put on there what you want. Make sure your shipping info's on there if you do want a shirt. But when we were checking out that cord, yes, Abel says I've got medium, large, extra large, double X, and triple X. I think there's a few smalls in there. I'd have to go through. He sent me an assortment. So, but yes, I do have mediums. And like I said, I know I've got all the way up to triple X. I think. Yeah, I think there's some triple X in there too. Got them in black and gray. So. Size and whether you want black or gray. Other than that, they're all the same logos. But when we were talking to Doug about that supercharged cord engine and transmission, what did Doug say the horsepower was on the supercharged cord engine and transmission in 36 and 37? Like I said, if you Google it, you're going to get a different number than Doug told us. And there's it's all in the same window, but we're going to go with exactly what Doug said us. And then there again, depending on who put the engine together, who did the tests. But we got old school's guessing. We're getting close, but not quite. So it's pretty interesting. We've got some more guesses coming in, but nothing that's correct yet. I'm And I'll keep an eye on both platforms, even though Facebook isn't really doing much, or guesses are coming in on YouTube. So I'm keeping an eye on both of them as we work through here. And something else to bring up, I've got a couple of unclaimed cans from the last month on my shipping bench as well. If you won in the last couple months and you didn't call me and give me your details, we're getting real close. We're bouncing all over it. I got all kinds of answers coming in, and most of them are in the right window, but I haven't got the one that Doug said yet. So we're getting real close. I'm keeping an eye on them because they're ticking in pretty regularly on here. But in the last couple weeks and didn't call me and claim it and give me your shipping info. I've got 2 of them on my shipping bench as of right now. And nobody's hit it yet. Well, we're bouncing all over it, but nobody's hit it yet. They're pouring in. They're pouring in fast. But I got to keep an eye on it because they're ticking the way they're ticking in. Still not seeing anything on Facebook, so I don't know if we're still fighting the feed issues or not. And, man, we're all over it, but nobody's hit it on the head yet. So I better keep an eye on that too, especially the way they're coming in. But like I said, if you won and didn't get a can and you have one coming, be sure to get with me. Boy, we're getting close, but nobody's got it yet. Kind of crazy to be bouncing around it that much and not hit it. Holy cow. Abel, do I have any 67 Galaxies on it? No motor or tranny in it, but still have some decent pieces on it. And wow, I mean, I think we've hit about everything but the number as of this point because we're that close. I mean, I can't believe how close we're getting on some of these and not hitting it. So keep an eye on it, getting ready for the next raffle. Obviously, we talked a lot about the raffle last week, getting ready to do May. I can't believe that there's been that many guesses, literally within a lot of them within 5, and haven't hit it yet. Pretty close to make sure I don't miss it because there's a bunch of them coming in and they are all right. Anyway, the raffle, there we go. Dan got it. Dan in Defiance finally got it. 160. Doug said that's where he was comfortable stating him out, was at 160 horsepower. And there was a bunch of you guys that 163, 164. We were all over it. But Dan is our winner tonight. So we'll get that down. Dan, give me a shout tomorrow. Make sure I get your right shipping information so I don't have to try to dig it out from the line whenever. I know you've won sometime in the past, but just give me a shout later tonight or in the morning and I'll get that done. But 160 horsepower is what Doug pinned those cars at. Yeah, there was Old School says he was close. There was a bunch of you guys that were just within a few, and I was like, well, I kind of wanted to stick with it. I just, there again, it was a little bit trickier. Ironist, you guys were trying. Yeah, you over that thing. Everybody was pounding numbers in. So, but that's what's fun about it. That's why we do it. So Dan's going to get the first Nobody's T-shirt. Like I said, anybody wants one, you can PayPal me on the PayPal address or send me a check. I put the mailing address on both posts as well. Just put a note in there of what you want, whether you want gray or black, and what size you need, and I can sure get them on the way to you. So anyway, glad you guys like it. Obviously, a lot of good feedback about the logo. I was really pleased with the way it turned out. I liked the colors. I liked what he did with the cab over. And like I said, I'm going to have him do some other stuff too. But I was really happy with it. And I'm glad you guys like them as well. So if you want one, PayPal me, send me a check. I'll get them out to you. All right. Old School wants the Structo. Well, I got it out here again. We're going to check it out. There she is. The Structo dump truck. Beautiful piece. Bed's not even scratched. Works. Tailgate opens. Abel likes the COE. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys do like the shirt and what he come up with. But like I said, the guy does great. Look him up. B. Scott Studios does some amazing stuff. He's got an entire series of T-shirts called Roadster Pilot, which are great shirts. So really, really pleased that he worked with me on that, and I think he did a great job. And like I said, I'm going to have him work on some other stuff too. I'm super excited to see what we come up with next. But how much are they? 22 up to XL and 24 for double and triple XL on the shirts. So, you can PayPal me or send a check. Just tell me what you want, whether you want gray or black, what sizes, and I'll be more than happy to get some of them on the way out to you. Robert's on with us. Everything's going good here. Glad you made it. Like I said, on with the raffle. Thing is gorgeous, original. I think it's late 50s is what I'm guessing. Original wheels, original tires. This truck has led a pretty pampered life for what a lot of those steel toys go through. Dan's wife is already claiming that she wants the shirt, so Dan may have to buy his own shirt. Yeah, any of you guys that want one, like I said, PayPal me, send me a check. Just make sure you put a note on there of what size and what color, and I can get them out to you this week. So anyway, the raffle, as always, $1 a chance. Every dollar you send me, put your name into the Big Buick can one time. Send me $5, you go in 5 times, $10, 10 times. Lee is in this month. Lee is the only one that is in so far at this point. So that's all I've got for this month's raffle. I know you guys, there's a lot of you guys that want to get in, but I do have one from Lee, so just so Lee knows I did get that one. Take any cards, Robert. I know it's easier for you, but it's a ridiculous amount of hassle for me dealing with credit card companies, so that's why I don't do them. But like I said, there she is. It still pains me to have to hold this up and show it to you guys and tell you I'm going to give it away to somebody. But I do know that whoever wins it is going to go to a good home, and it is going to be, it's going to be treasured and in part of somebody else's collection. And I know they're going to enjoy it. Like I said, I bought 410 toys from that guy, and even he asked me, so you're going to take care of these, right? Because they were out of his personal collection. So excited about it. Glad you guys like it, and excited to see who's going to win it here on May 30th. But great piece, beautiful piece, and I just love the way it works and love everything about it. I mean, even you look down inside of under the bed, it's not even scratched up. The bone. So obviously did not lead a very rough life compared to what a lot of these original era steel toys went through. Old School's ready to get in on the raffle too. That's great. Like I said, it's a great piece. It's an awesome piece. I love it. And finding stuff that is that age and that condition is so hard. So great piece, and glad you guys like it or excited about it as well. Anyway, what else is going on? Picked up some cool stuff this week. Picked up a late 40s International KB1, or the remains of one, I guess is the better way to put it. Part of the cab's been cut off. So basically, I've got the frame and the cowl and the front clip. It was a pickup at one point in its life, but the whole back of the cab's been cut off, and there's no bed on it. So like Ironhead says, she is minty, and she is pretty minty. It isn't 100%, and there's not, like I said, finding a toy of that age and that condition is pretty tough. So that's why I hate to give it away. But like I said, I backed myself in a corner. It was on my desk, and it was either last week I either had to show you the truck for the raffle or a stapler. That was about the only other option. And I don't think a lot of you guys want to win my stapler. So I didn't have anything for a backup plan. So I backed myself in a corner. I had to show you the truck. We've got to give it away now. But so the International is not a ton left of it, but the front clip is pretty decent. It's solid, not a lot of rust, dings, dents. It does have a non-chrome strip grill in it. Kevin says if he wins it, he's gonna let me keep it. Because it's gonna go to somebody. Robert says he's okay. I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of people buying chances on my stapler, so we'll go with the truck because it is a beautiful piece. So some good stuff. Some pickup fenders are tough for those trucks. So it still has some good pieces on it. Still worth dragging it in. I did pick up a really cool Chrysler last week, 1965 Newport 2-door hardtop, buckets, console, floor shift. It's got the vacuum gauge, like a rectangle vacuum gauge. Of course, they call it a power gauge or something like that in the console. Really cool car. Can't wait to show you that one. Complete intact car, big block 383 automatic that was running recently within the last year or so. It was running. So that's a neat car. Can't wait to get you a video on that. Also picked up a Cougar, 1967 Cougar. Complete car. It does run. Small block Ford, automatic, factory air, power steering, power brakes. Did a real quick look at the Cougar the other day on YouTube. So if you want a quick glimpse at it, you can check it out there. And I know some of you guys were on with us that day when we did the quick live. So definitely going to be getting you a video on that too. And it's a really great car. Was pretty impressed with it. Robert says he wants it. And that car is super, super solid. A little bit of rust in the rear quarters, tiny bit coming through the bottoms of the rear fenders. Floor pans in it look mint from what I can tell, just looking underneath it. So pretty good car. Can't wait to bring you guys a video on that and check that one out as well. What's coming up on videos this week? I've got to get some of this new inventory shot. I'm hoping that the weather will cooperate so I can get some new inventory shot. I bet I've got a month's worth of new inventory videos to shoot. Doing a couple of them a week. I bet I've got at least a month's. Robert, that's a possibility. You never know. That Cougar's got a lot of potential though. So it's a neat car. But yeah, you can give me a shout. We can sure talk about it and see what we can figure out. But and the Cougar, and something else about the Cougar, it's got a tilt steering column in it. I realized that after I unloaded it. I thought that was kind of odd that it had a tilt column in it. So hopefully I'll get you some new inventory video shot this week. Some more stuff coming from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum. We've got some supercars that we did videos on. We did a video on the Cord Berlin that they had there that day. Absolutely stunning car. Very, very high point concours restoration Cord Berlin, which was a fancy version of a Cord, which was a fancy car to start with. So this was kind of the top of the line Cord. They made like Tug told us. So it's a pretty amazing. It's absolutely an amazing car, and this is a stunning car, stunning restoration. I think that's the next one we've got coming up. I believe that car was supercharged as well, so that's a great one you're going to want to check out. Plus some other cool stuff coming from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum, Auburn Bowtail Speedster, Auburn Salon, their blasting company. We talk about the different types of media on some blasting. Tons more cool stuff coming from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg company as well. Plus, I need to bring you guys a live walk around from the yard. Was going to try to do that yesterday, but we had a ton of wind here yesterday. There'd have been no way to do it. It was just way too windy and got windier as the day went along. So never got a chance to do any new inventory videos and definitely couldn't do a live. If the weather cooperates next weekend, maybe we can squeeze one in. I know some of you guys have been asking about another live walk around. Things have changed a lot. I've been moving a bunch. Maybe next weekend we can get a live in from the yard as well. Jason still wants to see hood ornaments. Maybe we'll start on some of those for Toy Tuesday, Jason. I do need to start doing some of those hood ornaments. Maybe we can grab a half dozen of them or so and talk about a few of those on Toy Tuesday. We do need to start working some of those in as well. I keep thinking that and then end up grabbing something else. So I'll try to get some of those dug out and maybe have 6 or 8 of those laid out for Tuesday night. We'll shoot for that. So thanks for your idea on that. I know you've been asking about it. So I'm glad you brought that up again. We'll try to work that in for Toy Tuesday when we go that live. Dan caught the Cougar video too. So Robert said, if you send a super chat for the dump truck, would that work? Yes and no. YouTube takes quite a bit of that. So you wouldn't be getting near as many chances for your money. And I don't remember how much YouTube takes, but they take a pretty decent chunk of it. I think Grant told me, my buddy Grant told me with the Straight Six fan channel, I think he said they take like 30 or 40%. And like I said, don't quote me on that because I'm still learning the super chat thing. Like I said, last week was the first time I ever got one, and I still feel terrible that I didn't recognize whoever did that. But so I feel bad about it, but I'm still learning. But I do know that YouTube takes a lot of it. Any update on the Edsel? Kevin, it depends on which Edsel we're talking about. I don't know if it's the pink one we just got or what. Okay, Robert says that he still wants to do it. If you want to, that's fine. I just have to figure out how much they take, and I can credit you for whatever they don't take. Like I said, I just have to do a little research on that, so I can't tell you exactly what you would end up with doing it that way. But that is another idea. But like I said, I know YouTube takes a pretty good chunk of it, so I would have to research that, and I could give you credit for whatever they don't take. So that's totally up to you. So Old School's in for $3. So hey, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. Everybody gets to play that way. The Barn Find Edsel, we did put a video up on that. There we go. Robert hit it. Awesome. I got this. I don't know what that thing is, but it's dancing all over the screen over there. It's kind of a funky looking deal. So appreciate that. I'll figure that out where we're at, and I'll credit you for that on the drawing. One thing about that is I don't have your information if you're the winner. So if you're not on that night when we draw, you'll have to get a hold of you. That's the other thing. With PayPal, I've got some contact information there. So I'll figure that out. I'll get you in that many times, and then we'll go from there. So I know I've got it written down on my note to make sure I remember to take care of it on my end, and we'll figure that out. So, okay, Robert, yeah, email. That's a good idea. Jason, got to thinking that a calendar of hood ornaments and emblems might be cool. And that's another good idea too, because some of the emblems and ornaments are awesome. Obviously, I've got an extensive collection of ornaments and hood ornaments and badges and emblems. So that would be another cool idea. Lance, any ZL1 Chevy big blocks? Don't really have anything in big block, honestly, right now. In fact, I don't think I've got a big block Chevy here. I honestly don't like messing with them because they're heavy, they're hard to store. You got to put them on an engine stand if you don't find them in a vehicle. So I've come across some over the years. I've had some, but I don't have any big block stuff at all right now. So anyway, I guess that kind of is getting towards the end of my notes. That's kind of wrapping me up for what I had tonight. But the 59 Edsel barn find, I did do a video on that. We posted it a week ago Friday. And the reason I remember that because we were at the Lawrence swap meet with my good buddy Phil Skinner, who is the Edsel expert, the Edsel guru, the guy who literally maintains the database of all 14,000 Edsels that have been discovered. So I posted that on a week ago Friday because I was hanging out with Phil at the Lawrence swap meet. So I'm going to post the Edsel video because I'm hanging out with Phil tonight. So yes, that video is up if you want to check it out and get a little better look at that barn find 59 Edsel. If there's anything, Kevin, be sure to check that video out. If you got any other questions that aren't answered, just give me a shout. And if there's something you need or whatever, I'm more than happy to send you pictures, things like that of that car. So Dan just said he plans on winning. So I think if he's trying to scare everybody else off from playing or what. Anyway, that pretty much gets to the end of my notes for the evening. Glad you guys stopped by. I really appreciate it. Obviously, we had some issues with Facebook and it didn't hang in there. But we had a great crowd on YouTube. Glad you guys all hung in there tonight and had a great time with us. Huge thanks to our viewer that sent me the little super test sign. Cool piece. Obviously, everybody liked it as well. And as always, your guys' support is so great. Still amazed that, I got just felt terrible that I didn't realize who it was and didn't even realize what it was at the time. But I'm learning. We're all learning together. If you want your own Nobody shirt, like I said, you can do the same thing. PayPal me. Send me a check, whatever, however many you want. Extra large on down or 22, double and triple X or 24. The plaque, like Robert, we talked about earlier, a viewer sent that to me. It is a reproduction. It is not an original of a smaller Canadian oil company called Supertest. So we hung that up tonight. It's super cool that somebody thought enough of me to send me that. And like I said, it's a smaller company that I didn't know anything about, Canadian company, so it was new to me. So there again, what did that do? It triggered me to look them up, check out some of their cans, found some on eBay, things like that. Something new, something different. Because a viewer sent that to me, I learned something, and then we all had to talk about it. So if you want to get into that, go back and watch the first part earlier. That's so awesome. That's what's so great about it. Dan said he saw the video, so I think the Edsel video too. So glad you guys like that too. So anyhow, that pretty much wraps it up for me. As always, I'm still shocked that you guys come back every week and hang out. Tell your friends if they want to swing by. We're having a great time. George says 24 for a t-shirt, 24 for double and triple X, 22 for extra large on down is what this batch cost, with this batch that I just ordered. So if you want one of those, like I said, PayPal or send me a check and just let me know what it is, what you want. They are, and I do have gray and black as well. So if you want this on the black background on a black shirt, I can do that, or the grays if the nobody on the front. So number one says happy Monday else out there. Hope it was a good weekend for everybody. Hope everybody had a great week. This week, once again, lots of stuff going on. I've got more cars I've got to get picked up. I spent a good chunk of yesterday moving a bunch of cars around the yard, just trying to open up some holes. Inventory has literally been coming in so fast. I'm dumping stuff wherever I can dump it. So I had to move some cars around this weekend just to open up some holes to dump more when they get more brought back in. But yeah, and like Robert says, all my information is in the description on both formats, Facebook and YouTube. I have my phone number, the PayPal address, and my mailing information in the text part of both of the formats. So if you can always check that after we get done. Daddy daughter yard walk. That might be who's helping me next weekend. We'll see. She's been super busy with school these last couple of weeks. That's also kind of helped kind of video stuff. I got our buddy Matty on. He says Facebook still is not working very well. So obviously pretty much fought Facebook the whole time tonight. YouTube seems to have cleared up. I haven't been getting any feed warnings on my end. And it looks like, and I haven't had any comments that we were having some serious buffering issues on YouTube as well. Hopefully they've got that fiber in here sooner rather than later. Like I said, it was 10 days, 2 weeks ago that they told me that they should have it in within 30 or 40 days. So I'm hoping anytime that they bore that board over to my shop and run fiber straight in here. And then I know I'm going to have a great connection, both audio up and down. George, thanks. There again, thanking me for putting this together, but it's not me, it's all of you guys. It's your input, it's your support that of you guys coming back. It's your participation. It's here. It's the viewer that sent me the sign that added to our discussion tonight, that taught me stuff, and hopefully you guys learned stuff. It's all of that. It's all of us is what makes this work. And that's what's great about it. Ironhead says, have a great week. Thanks for another show. Robert says the same thing. It's that he's going to have to come out and see me. That's what we're here for. So glad you guys made it. And like I said, once again, lots of credit to me, but it's not me. I do spend some time putting it together. I build my sheets. I get my notes together. I try to keep track of all this stuff. I try to organize a decent show for you guys. But me sitting here talking into a computer isn't a decent show. It's the interaction, it's the input from all of you is what makes it a great show. So Mick says the same thing, and I hope everybody else has a great week. I'm going to haul some more cars this week, so we've got some more cool stuff to talk about. As always, hit me up, PayPal, check or money order, size in black or gray. I can ship you 1 or I can ship you 10 or whatever you want. Just let me know. Get your chances in for the raffle. Thanks, Ironhead says we wouldn't be here without me. Well, I guess somebody's got to sit here and do it, but it's not about me. It's the group, and that's why we car guys hang out together, because it is the group and it is the support that everybody throws a little bit in the bucket. And then at the end of the night, everybody leaves with a full bucket. I guess that's the best way to put it. I start with the bucket, but everybody throwing stuff in lets everybody leave the chat with a full bucket for the night. So I hope that makes everybody feel good. Be sure to get your chances in for the raffle for the super awesome Structo truck, the beautiful, super awesome Structo truck. We'll go through that again next week as to who is in, and then here in a couple of weeks, we're going to ship that out to the new winner. So that wraps it up for me tonight. Glad you guys made it. Dan says it's making him a faster texter, so he's having to get better at texting. Stay tuned. Hopefully, I will get some of those new inventory videos shot. I've got some stuff in the can right now if I've got to use it, of some stuff that's in the yard, but I've got to start cranking some of this new inventory video out because I'm getting way, way behind. I know you guys want to see it. You know, just like the Cougar, like I said, we got a quick glimpse of the Cougar. The Chrysler is so cool. You know, it's a 65 Newport. It is not the most desirable car, but great looking lines, cool car. Like I said, buckets, console, floor shift, big block, neat ride. So hopefully get some of that stuff coming to you as well. Plus 35 Chevy truck I haven't done a video on, the 79 Camaro I haven't done a video on, 39 Chrysler, 68 Dodge half-ton short bed pickup. This stuff's scattered all over. It's a 63 Chevy custom cab pickup. Like I said, tons and tons of new inventory I've got to get some video shot on, so stay tuned. Jump on with us live 7 o'clock Tuesday night. We will do Toy Tuesday live this week. New videos tomorrow night, new videos Wednesday night, Toy Tuesday live. Friday night we'll do some more Auburn Court Duesenberg Company stuff. And next Sunday night, 7 o'clock, right back here, same channel, same time, we will do Sunday night live chat. Thanks for being here, everybody. Really appreciate you swinging by. I can't believe that you guys spend your evening hanging out with me, but you do, and it's awesome, and I appreciate it. And we will see you again next Sunday night. Thanks for watching, everybody.